Girls in the Paddock. You are joined by your hosts, Georgia and Lara. Today we have a very special guest. Please introduce yourself and tell everyone about you.
Hi guys, so most of you would know me on TikTok as Aussie F1 Girl, but my name is Sarah, and I make content on TikTok about mainly the Australian Grand Prix that happens every year, and I also make just general F1 content as well.
Awesome. All right, well, we'll jump right into the most basic question, get it out of the way. How did you get into doing like F1 content and all that kind of stuff, and specifically like focusing on the Aussie GP? Because I'll admit I used your like TikTok all this year to get tickets. That was my method, like for this year's Aussie GP, and I was like, okay, now I get what's going on because I'd never been before, so my brain is comprehending. So I applaud you for that.
Well, thank you. I actually got into Formula One. I met my partner about 3 years ago. I'd never really heard of Formula One, didn't really know what it was, and then he'd been watching it for years. He kind of introduced me to it. Didn't know it at the time, but I was going to find my lifelong passion in Formula One. I was going to find just love the sport so much. And then I think with the combination of Drive to Survive coming out around the same time, it just kind of accelerated the whole process. Definitely. So I was just watching all the races with him and his dad. And then from there, with Drive to Survive, just got so into it, learned all like the sort of technical terms that people talk about. Just got in through it that way. And then I attended my first Australian Grand Prix in 2021, I think.
Right.
And so we just went, and I was going there, and I just couldn't find any information really, like besides like just, oh, here's the ticket price, here's what you can do. I was like, there's really no information. And then when I actually went to the first event, I was like, there's a Melbourne walk, there's all of these outside events going on, there's all of these free activities you can do as an F1 fan. And I'm just like, I don't see content about this anywhere. Like, it's not really out there. So, I started making content firstly around Formula One. And then I found that a lot of my content pieces that focused on the Aussie GP and just how to score tickets, how to sort of read the website and navigate it, people were just loving that sort of content. So I got into it through that way. And then, for this year's Grand Prix, I was doing sort of like content about each grandstand, like what you can sort of experience, see, like, is it worth the money, that sort of thing. And that's kind of how I segued into it. Because it just, there was no one really doing it. So I think it's great to, have a platform where people can come and they can be like, oh, I want to see what it's like to sit in Fangio grandstand. And they sort of see my tips and tricks and how to sort of go about it and whether I think it's worth it.
Definitely, I think it's a good insight for like first time goers. Like I said, I see TikToks come up all the time, especially near the start of the year when the Aussie GP was coming on. Because I originally only brought Sunday tickets, and then I was like, oh my god, there's all this other stuff you can do, like the Melbourne Walk and everything. And I was like, oh my goodness, because Lara and I hadn't met yet, so I didn't have Lara as guidance either. So I was by myself.
Oh,
and then I ended up.
Did you guys meet at the Aussie GP? Is that where you kind of?
Funny enough,
our story is hilarious. We met on Facebook on our university page called Deacon Love Letters. Where
I love that.
Lara put out an anonymous love letter to all the F1 fans, and here we are.
Honestly, go Lara, because there are so many, there are so many female F1 supporters around the world. And the Aussie GP was one place where I met so many people, especially female supporters, that just love this sport and they just want to find more people that they can sort of interact with, connect with, that they can just have a friend in the sport. Because otherwise, like, if I didn't have my partner in the beginning, it would have been quite, not lonely, just like you would have been like, because the races are very late sometimes here in Australia. So it's like you're sitting up and people are like, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, I'm just watching a race. Like, it's not a weird thing, I promise you. Like,
literally, and you just kind of feel like it's nice to have someone into it, especially female-wise. I feel like you get really good connections. Like Lara and I spend like most of our weekends on FaceTime, like, or texting, like, oh my god, did you just see what happened? And it's just nice, like, to have that connection.
It's nice to be able to talk to someone about it, because otherwise, it is, because it is an international sport and only really comes this area once a year. It's like, it's good to have someone you can talk to. So I love that about the sport, that you're able to meet so many female F1 supporters.
I was going to say, like, even starting this podcast, the amount of people we've met and then the amount of people we've found who are making content are also trying to start making content. Like, it's insane how many like women are doing it, and it's just like, it's so incredible to see, because then like we have these interviews and then we end up making friends with these people and staying in contact, and then you're like, oh my goodness, like, it's just crazy.
Honestly,
easy it is. And like, how many people in Australia are actually into it? Because I feel like I always see like international content created, obviously, because it is
Yeah.
so Europe based. So it's so nice to be like, oh my god, there's someone in Aussie. He's like doing this.
Yeah,
Perfect,
exactly.
sweet. Okay, let's connect with them. Like, so
Yeah, no, I know when I was at the AusGP this year, we actually had sort of like a meetup at, what was it called? I can't remember exactly the place that it was called, but we had a meetup with all of the sort of TikTok content creators that are in the space. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah, so we kind of met up and it was so amazing to just meet all these different creators who like have such different niches within Formula
yeah,
One, like, and they have such a different approach. I know that I met her TikTok handle is F1 Anna,
yep.
and she makes content about all the different sort of fashion that's in the paddock every week, and like to see her grow, to see her just have such a solid platform is like amazing, and just meeting other F1 content creators is amazing as well.
Yeah, I feel like that's the most exciting part is like meeting so many other people and like you said, seeing all
Yeah.
the different contents being created because I feel like even though it's very similar talk, it's also different. Like what people
Oh, absolutely.
like that's the thing. Like I think I see like 1,000 different like F1 accounts on my TikTok.
Yeah.
But it's also still so different to everyone. Like I think that's like a
No,
good
for sure.
like you've got all these teams you can support, so you've got then the drama there, and then you've got like so many different races. It's obviously international, so huge, and just the different content. That's what I find most entertaining. Just
Yeah.
like, look at this.
I mean, I think in like the last sort of month, the best time I had on TikTok was when they announced that Danny Rick was coming back to Formula One.
What a time
And
to
I
be
just
alive on
watched,
TikTok.
I watched all of those TikToks and I was just like, I love the fact that these F1 content creators, especially Aussie content creators, they're just absolutely eating this up and they're all churning out content, and in their own way, they're all different. But I just kept scrolling. TikTok had me on there for hours.
Yeah, that was a time to be alive, watching like all the drama go down with Nick and then everything with Danny, even with Liam Lawson now filling in for Danny, like all that.
I know. Oh,
like it's just like
yeah. I
It's
just also that like it's crazy.
and TikTok's like
it's
the
just
place to go.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
and
it's just
especially
crazy. Like, no, sorry.
No, go. It's all good.
No, I was just gonna say, like the last podcast Georgia and I filmed together, we were talking about the whole Daniel Ricciardo, like Nick DeVries situation, and it took me forever to edit it. And in that time, like in that podcast, I was talking about Liam Lawson. I was like, I don't think they're gonna put him in the AlphaTauri yet. I don't think they're gonna put him in the Red Bull yet. And then suddenly, like he's in there.
Liam come in after she said that.
Yeah, probably.
That made me feel really good.
Well, in my defense, I didn't know Daniel was going to break his hand. So
yeah, like honestly, I'm pretty sure. Like, I felt so bad for them. I saw this statistic where it's like AlphaTauri have had more drivers than points they've had in the season, and I was like, oh, I feel for them.
I know, you just
bring that statistic up, like, it's just like. Why? Why is that a necessary statistic? Like, focus on something else.
This statistic exists. Literally, it's just like, oh my god. That's one of my favorite things is seeing like all the really weird facts and statistics that like F1 content creators come up with and be like, oh my god, well if you look at this and then you're like, oh my god, like you just didn't even think about. Now that's in my mind. Like, yeah, that's what cracks me up. I like the amount of stuff I see and then I go, oh, I've never thought of that, and now that's all I'm going to think about when I see this.
Yeah.
literally. Our next question for you is, what was your experience like at the AusGP, and like what were your highlights? Tell us about your whole weekend.
You did a bit of everything. You were everywhere. You did in the hospitality. You went into the McLaren garage for a little bit.
Yeah, like this AusGP. Yeah, this AusGP 2023 was like insane. Like I honestly, like I don't even have words. I look back at it and I honestly, like that whole experience, you know, when you go somewhere, but you kind of feel like you're not fully present. You're just kind of moving through, and then you get to the other end where it's all over and you're like, oh.
Yeah.
I actually, like that all just happened. I wasn't dreaming. It actually happened. So yeah, no, so I actually flew down the day before all of the sort of AusGP main stuff happened. So I think that was like the Wednesday. And when I went to the Glamour on the Grid, which is kind of like the way that they open up the whole weekend. It's kind of just like you go, they have free food, free alcohol, you kind of like mingle. There was heaps of people there that I did not know. I walked in and I was like, I don't feel like I belong here. There's a lot of people I don't know. I know them from TV and stuff like that, but I don't know them personally. But yeah, I was able to find some other F1 content creators while I was there. So Erin, Anna, and a few others that were just so lovely. And we kind of stuck together, and we're just like, we'll just navigate the event together and stay safe. And yeah, so it was a really good event, and definitely like the most dressed up I've ever been. Yeah, but it was really cool because when we went there, we actually were able to enter through the pits. So we got to see like the cars just like kind of sitting there waiting for the whole weekend to start, which was really, really cool. We kind of just stayed there as long as we could. We're like, we don't need to go in there and have like food and alcohol. We'll just stand here. Yeah, we'll just stand here. So yeah, no, that was amazing. And then so originally I got a package of just 4 days at Fangio. Yeah. Because I've sat in Brabham before, and that was really, really good because you get to sort of see them coming out of the pit lane. You get to see turn 1 into turn 2. I know for 2021, we saw the moment where Max Verstappen's engine just cut out and lost itself. I mean, that's never happened this year.
Put that in the universe. I want a little bit of drama. So let's... Sorry.
I mean, we've still got some races to go. He's going to win regardless, but we've got some races to go. So yeah, no, I sat at Fangio for Thursday, Saturday and Sunday. And then, leading up to the Grand Prix, my partner and I, we were like, oh, maybe we should do a hospitality. Like we kind of want to experience it. And with my TikTok, I just love showing different options that you can, have at the Australian Grand Prix. So I saw that AusGP was kind of doing a sale on the Thursday. They were like selling them for like $600 where they're normally double. Yeah, so originally I was like, oh, maybe we can do the Thursday. We can just sort of go in. It won't be as busy either. So people won't feel a bit weird when I'm standing there with my phone out trying to get all the angles. But yeah, then Thursday sold out because I think what it was is Access 23. It was either we were going to do that or we were going to do hospitality. And what they were offering on the Thursday was you could actually go and do a pit lane walk, and you could actually go do some other extras. So we're like, it's essentially nearly the same price as Access 23. Which one do we want to do? But then both of them sold out. And we're like, okay, well now we can't do Access 23. We're not going to do that. So yeah, we ended up going for the Friday hospitality package, which was at the lounge. So we were able to walk in very quickly. Walked in, there was free food again, free sort of alcohol throughout the day. So I think by like 10 o'clock, I probably should have checked out and gone home. But I was like, no, we'll just keep going. We'll keep going. I met some lovely people there. Like they were just telling me how they've gone to all of these different race tracks. They've gone to Japan, they've gone to Singapore, and I'm just like, oh, that's great. Like this is my first time here, but like I'm really like that's great for you. So it was amazing in the morning because my partner actually stationed himself on the Melbourne Walk side of the lounge. So kind of like where the Melbourne Walk is like across from it. So he stationed himself there. I stationed myself at the back where they were kind of like all of the team bosses and drivers had to walk through to get into the gates, to get into the turncycles to go into the paddock. So he would see who was coming and he'd text me being like, oh, Carlos Sainz is coming. And I'd literally sit there like it was this row of seats. I'd be like, Carlos is coming, Carlos. And everyone's just like, these people like looking at me like, how do you know this? Like, are you okay?
So much. Yeah. Good on you.
Like my partner committed. I was like, I'm getting as much content as I can. You are literally doing what I tell you today.
I love that. You said but that's a solid effort.
So they were all coming along and I was just like looking at these people and they're all just like, hi. And I'm just like, Carlos!
I love it. Everyone's like, what is this?
Iconic.
How did she get in here? Why is she screaming?
But after about 5 minutes of me consecutively doing that for each driver, team boss that was coming through, they're just like this. They're like, oh, when George comes through, can you yell his name? Like, please.
Hey, once when Lars in, can you say something?
Yeah, so it was literally like, in the beginning, I think I was quite annoying. And then it got to a point where they're like, this is actually giving us something. Like, it's working. So you just keep doing what you want to do.
That's so funny.
So yeah, it was actually, it was amazing to sit there. Because you just yell out the names and they just kind of look like this. Just be like, that. And they'll just keep going. And I'm like, oh. Like, I was sitting there, I'm like, this is like, I paid a bit of money for this experience. But like, I'm really enjoying the experience. Like it was amazing. Like we tried to do as much as we could throughout the day and really soak up the experience. So we're able to go to the paddock rooftop where you can kind of just stand. You can see the main straight. You can see Fangio across from you. And we were there for FP2 and FP3, I think. Yeah, Friday. If that makes sense. Maybe FP1 and 2. Yeah, sorry. We stood there and we were able to actually see the cars come out of the pits. We were able to see pit stops. Like it literally looked like the Netflix intro where it's we'll pit stop and they go out. So that was amazing. Yeah, so we sat there, saw Danny Rick sort of like sit in that Red Bull, just kind of observing, watching the pit lane. It was honestly amazing. Like I would trade the rest of it just to see like the actual action, and just see like you see like the pit crew just running out and they're like ready. They've got the tires, they've got the tire guns. Like I'm like, oh, this is like everything. I love this.
Yeah.
So yeah, like we spent a bit of time there, and then I'd made a few connections while I was there for the day. Like I'm a very bubbly person. If I see that people are there, like I'll just come up and start talking to you. And you know, at the AusGP itself, like a few people are like, oh my god, I saw you, but like I didn't come up because you looked busy. And I was like, no, please come up and say hello. Like I love saying hello to people. So yeah, no, I made a few connections, and we weren't going to get a pit lane walk because we thought we missed out. And I was just sitting there in the afternoon, and this guy who must have just been leaving for the day, he like came up to me and my friend that I was talking to, and he was just like, oh, so one of you girls went to a pit lane walk? Like I just have this lanyard, I'm not going to use it. Like there's another one this afternoon. And I was like, yes, please, please. So he's just like, yeah, cool. So he hands it to me, and I'm like sitting there, and then it just dawns on me. I'm like, oh, I have to go do this myself. I guess my partner's just gonna have to sit here and wait for me, right? So it's like dawned on me, and then this friend that I made while I was there, she's like, oh, actually, I've got one too. I went this morning. You take this, and you can go with your partner. So it ended up, working out perfectly. Like I came over and I'm just with the biggest grin on my face, holding these 2 passes. Like, we're gonna go, yay!
Yes, we've done it. Yeah, I did the pit lane walk, the Access 23, and I loved it. Like I definitely wouldn't do it again. I think like once was enough with the price of what it is.
Oh, absolutely.
But it was definitely like I would recommend doing it once. Like,
absolutely. I definitely recommend it.
Well, like I loved it. Like, and the thing is, like, all the crew would speak to you and like would be happy to have conversation. Like they're quite busy and stuff. So you look like, okay, this is kind of like really worth it because I'm getting such an insight, and there's only like so many people that are doing it.
Absolutely. Like honestly, like I remember when they first brought out the Access program, it was actually really worth the money because you could kind of select what you wanted. It wasn't just like a flat sort of fee. And then, when they sort of changed it up this year, I can't remember exactly what they did to sort of change it up. I just weighed it up and I'm like, I don't think it's totally worth it. Like if you want to do the pit lane walk, it's great. It's a great opportunity. But like I remember when they originally brought out the program, it was a lot better because the packages were a lot better and a lot more cost efficient as well.
Yeah, the packages were really weird because I only found out about Access 23 again because of your TikTok.
No, it's all good.
And so like I remember looking at the prices going, but that'll be a really good experience. Like I think it was like
absolutely
right, like it's not cheap, and then you pay for the pit lane on top. And like you said, you really got to weigh it out and like, are you going to do this once, or would you want to do hospitality? Because like there's so many different experiences to do.
Oh, honestly, so many.
Up in prices, like it is insane. Like I brought tickets for next year, and holy moly, like because I had the Access 23, then like the pre-sale, and
were you able to get them in the pre-sale?
I was, but the price was just insane. Like watching it go up because of the demand, and it was just like I would be sitting there and be like, I'm going to push my luck, refresh one more time, see where else I can get. And then it would just like go up another like $10. And I'm like, just take it. Like it was so
I tried to get them in because I didn't get Access 23. So obviously like I didn't do the pre-sale, but I actually had a few lovely people reach out and be like, hey, like I got Access 23, but I'm not going. Do you want my code to like access the pre-sale? And I was like, look, I appreciate it, but no, like I'm just going to try my luck.
Yeah.
And then, like in both of them, just was not successful at getting tickets. Because, it just seemed like the only options were the in-demand ticket.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I wasn't able to secure them no matter what I tried.
Yeah.
And then I actually found Grand Prix Travel, which I've used a couple of times, because obviously me coming from interstate, they offer accommodation and ticket packages. So for me, like, it was really worth it, because every time I go down there, I need accommodation anyway.
Yeah.
So we were actually lucky enough to get tickets with them.
Through them, yeah.
So yeah, but the thing is, with them, when you book with them, they don't actually tell you where you're sitting. Like, you know where you are, like what grandstand, but they don't tell you exactly like what the seats are. Like, they confirm that later. But after my experience trying to get the tickets, I was like, I'll take it.
Yeah,
honestly, at this point, as long as I know I'm in the grandstand that I sort of want, and like I know that I'm in the position that I want to be for the Grand Prix, I don't really care where I sit, because anywhere, honestly, even park pass, anywhere where you sit, you're going to have such a great view, because you just get such a unique experience from any part of the track.
Yeah, because when I brought my tickets, I brought my family only wanted to go for the race day, but me and my friend wanted to do the 4 days. So I had to do 2 separate like transactions.
That would have been an interesting one.
And then my Mac open, and I'm like freaking out, and I'm trying to make sure we're somewhat together in the Jones stand, like refreshing, and like I'm pretty sure my dad and that have better tickets than me. So I'm like, hey, race day, what if like you don't really care that much, just a switcheroo.
You don't really need those ones. Just pass them to me, you'll be fine.
I went through hell for these, like hell. And so I don't mind if we like switch around, but like that was the most stressful thing I've ever experienced. And like
honestly, it's so stressful.
And like the 10-minute timer, like once you get the tickets, I'm there like on the phone going, "What's the pin for your card? Just tell me the fucking pin." And he's like, "Why are you screaming?" I'm like, "Okay, where's my card? I need to pay for these ones. I need a different card for these ones." I was like, "I'm never doing this again. Like if I ever go again, I'm just buying myself a ticket. Everyone else is on their own."
Honestly, like I feel
yourself.
My personal stress was alleviated in the sense that McLaren do their own sale.
I was actually really interested in that.
One of the grandstands, and me and the second we got the email, my friend called me and she's like, I am buying these tickets right now. They ended up being like around $100 more than like the listed price, but you also get a hat with it, and you're like sat in like section A and like right down the front. So I was like, okay, you know what, like it's worth it.
That's really cool. And did you just have to be like a McLaren member? Like, what was sort of the requirement?
All you have to do is sign up to McLaren Plus. So literally, like, it's like a subscription. Like, you put your email in, they'll send you emails. Costs nothing. And honestly, it's worth it, even if it's just like to alleviate some of your own stress. Because I then went and bought tickets for my cousin and my aunt, and they wanted a 2-day grandstand. Couldn't get them a 2-day in any grandstand. I managed to get them like a Sunday park pass. That was all I managed to get them in the end. It was insane.
Yeah, no, honestly, like any sort of tip or trick that you can figure out for the Aussie GP moving forward, I think is going to be gold, because it has just gathered so much support and just so much enthusiasm around the event as well. Because I know when I was there this year, I also went on the Today Show on the Thursday morning, I think. And I was working with like Visit Victoria, and they're like, this is our biggest event of the year. Like, it has literally taken over everything. We get so much tourism, we get so much like investment from this event. Like, it is something that we really want to invest in. So I already knew from that, I'm like, this event is just going to get more and more popular. And it is so, like, I really do feel for the fans that, you know, they want to go so badly, and they just miss out from, you know, like in 20 minutes tickets were gone for the general sale. It was insane.
And even just the pricing, like watching the pricing go up each year, and you just go, holy shit. And that's the thing, it will just continue to go up. So it's such like any like tips and tricks you can figure out, any sort of like sneaky sale.
Exactly.
It's like, just take that, like do that.
Yeah, and I honestly, I think that AusGP is going to do a potential another release, just because for some of the hospitality packages, they didn't release everything.
Yeah, I know.
So some of it was like with the lounge, I think they let out like pretty much all of it. But for the Paddock example, the Paddock Club, they didn't really release Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. I think they mainly only released like the Thursday. So I think they may do another release, but that's anyone's guess, really.
It's utter chaos. Like, it's genuinely utter chaos.
I mean, the experience, I think, of buying tickets or trying to buy tickets through Ticketek, oh, no, not Ticketek, Ticketmaster,
All the time.
was like, I think it was easier for me because only like a couple of months ago I was trying to get Taylor Swift tickets, and that was like the bane of my existence. So when I actually saw that it gave me like a lineup number of like how close I was to potentially buying tickets, I'm like, well, at least I'm not just sitting here watching that page refresh over and over again.
Worse than sitting there and just watching the page just refresh over and over. I was in America when the Taylor Swift tickets came out, and I text my auntie and I was like, okay, I need you to get me these. This is your job while I'm on holidays. And in my family group chat, she'd sent a picture and she was crying and she was going, day one, not successful, I'm so sorry. And then like 2 days later, she had all these crystals around her laptop and she was like, I'm praying for this.
Trying to put out the good vibes, the good energy.
And I remember just her like calling at 4 a.m, like US time, because it must have been like the afternoon at home. She's going, I've done it. I hope you love me. I've done it. I'm like, what's going on? She's like, we're in. Love you. Bye. I was like, oh, fuck yeah.
Oh, I'm very happy that you got tickets. I got tickets as well, but I'm going to the Sydney show.
Nice.
So,
I didn't get tickets.
Oh,
what a chaos. Like, it was just
honestly, I have no idea how I actually ended up getting tickets.
The problem I had was I was at work, and so I was literally just like, it was just me and my phone. Like, my friend that I'm going with, she was in the UK, so she couldn't get on. So it was just me and my phone at work on both days, and I was just like, this is hell.
Yeah, there's nothing worse. The stress. Like, I even saw with like the weekend. Like, I'm not into him, but like his ticket sales was just insane too. Like, everyone. Like, holy shit! Like, it baffles me. It's just
I think after COVID, like, just events in general have taken a massive.
Yeah, they just have such like a higher interest because I think everyone has gone back to their teenage years and just wants to go out all the time and go to all these events. But yeah, no, it was definitely like so interesting to kind of compare the two. But I think with the numbering system, it was a lot easier to sort of relax and be like, okay, cool. I know that I'm eventually going to get a chance to buy tickets. Yeah. But I just think that when a lot of fans were able to actually get in and get the opportunity to buy tickets, it was almost all gone because I had multiple screens. I got in like within maybe 5-10 minutes and I was struggling to get where I wanted to go. And I said to myself with next year, because I've gone the last 2 years, I've been very fortunate, and I realized that there's a lot of fans out there that have probably tried for the last 2 years and they haven't been able to go. So I already knew like I was so grateful. I've had amazing chances at going, but I was like, okay, these are where I want to sit. Like, I knew what I wanted, and if I couldn't get that, I just wasn't going to go, because I was like, no, like, it's just not worth it. I think that if you know where you want to sit and you have gone before, like, if you can't get it, then maybe just wait or just don't go. That was my option anyway, because I was like, no, like, I will let other people have the opportunity to go, because it's such an amazing event to go to.
Oh, definitely. And I feel like the pre-sale tickets, like when it gets close to the event, because that's how I ended up doing the other 3 days, is I was just like each day buying pre-sale tickets that were coming up. And like, that's the thing. I feel like there is always like, you've got that little bit of hope. It's like chance.
Yeah.
I feel like the week of the event, I was getting so many emails from like, is it Tixel? Tixel's the one? No, I think so.
I think
Tixel.
so.
I think that's what it's called. And like constant emails going, oh, someone's selling like one, like, general admission pass here. Someone's selling like a stand pass, and it's just people who can't make it. And it's like, if you keep an eye out for like just all the little things and like.
Yeah, honestly, like what I would recommend, like even for this year's Grand Prix, we weren't supposed to go at all. Like, I didn't even try to get tickets when they were released last year, and then it was actually the Ticketmaster fan-to-fan resale where there was 2 Fandio grandstand tickets going, and we were just like, okay, let's go. It was very last minute. It was like 2 months out, and then I organized all of the additional things that I was doing while at the Grand Prix, like literally 2 weeks out. So I had to find all of these things for this event, and I'm just like, oh my god, this was like we weren't even planning on going.
That's solid effort.
Yeah, and then I got organized all in those last couple of weeks.
Just winging it. Right.
Yeah. No, I literally borrowed like my sister's formal dress that she wore, because I was like, I don't have time to go to a formal shop. Like, I need to secure something and just not look like I'm not supposed to be there. Like even when I got to that event, I like had the invite on my phone, but I still couldn't believe it. Like I was like, no, they're gonna turn me away. Like they're gonna be like, yes, sorry. Like I know you have it, but like no, we're not gonna let you in.
Let your anxiety get to you, and you're like, oh my god, I'm gonna get there, and they're gonna go.
Yeah. So yeah, on the Friday when we were doing hospitality and we were able to sort of do the pit lane, it was actually really interesting because in order to get to the paddock rooftop to do the pit lane, you actually have to walk through all of the sort of paddock hospitality. So when you walk past, it had like a paddock club, and then it had all of the different teams' hospitality suites. Right. So it was like Red Bull, McLaren, all the different ones. There was even like a Paramount suite as well, like all of these different suites that you don't even think are there. And we were just really fortunate when we were walking past McLaren. Oscar Piastri was actually doing a speech. Yeah. And so I'm just standing in this little hallway like this, just like watching. And they're just like, they're looking at me. On that day, I don't know if you've seen photos, but I was literally in papaya, like my whole outfit. Another one from my sister. Yeah. Thank God for my sister. She came through strong with her clothing. She had this papaya outfit, and I'm like, that's coming with me. That's perfect. So yeah, I wore that, and I had this McLaren jacket on as well because I got freezing that day. In the morning, typical Melbourne weather. In the morning, nice weather. I was feeling good, and then all of a sudden it got really cold. And me being from Queensland, I was like, I'm freezing. I need something. So we ran across, got a jacket. AusGP got a lot more money from me that day from that jacket. But honestly, like I wear that jacket all the time now. I put it on when I go for my walks, and I think I'm doing a pit lane walk or I'm doing like a track walk. Like I feel very good. And yeah, so I had like the full kit on. I literally looked like a McLaren walking promotion, and they're just kind of looking at me, and I'm like, hi, how you going? So they just kind of let me stand there, and I was just watching Oscar, and as he's come out, I'm like, Oscar, please. But like, he was obviously, they were trying to get ready for FP2. So they're just like, nope, sorry, like, we got to get going. So I was like, it's okay. I've seen him. Like, it's all good.
It's real. I know.
Yeah, like, honestly, like, if you kind of want to have a chance to sort of see the drivers just in their sort of natural as it can be, their natural sort of habitat, just kind of going through the day, doing a hospitality experience is probably the closest you will get because even like I said to them, like, I have to go to the bathroom, and you have to go down these stairs, and where the bathroom is, there's this little gate, and then it's the paddock.
Right. Yeah.
So you're just kind of like, I'm down there. I'm just like, I was like, oh, I don't need to go back up there. I'll just stand here. I'll just watch. Like,
that's a fantastic. I'll just stay in the bathroom.
And then they're just like, Sarah, this is where the bathrooms are. Like, you can't just stand down here. I'm like, but this is the best view. Like, I'm just watching people exist. Like, it was great.
Yeah.
I come out of the bathroom, and I'm waiting for my friends and my partner. And Daniel Ricciardo just walks through the gate, walks up the stairs, and I'm just like this. I'm just frozen. I'm like, just like,
what just happened?
My friends come out, and they're just like, Sarah, and I'm like,
I need a second.
I know what I just saw. That was me throughout the whole day. Like, I just kept seeing people, and I was like, normally, like, when they're just not kind of right next to me, I'm like, yeah, George, yeah, Perez, look this way, like, and then as soon as they were right in front of me, I'm just like,
you get the stage. Well, literally,
there's nothing there, nothing's happening.
I get that.
So yeah, like, it was honestly amazing. Like, and me being me, I was just kind of talking to everyone, just trying to make little connections. I'm like, hey, so like, what do you do? Like, and I started talking to this lady who works for McLaren, and she's just standing there, she's holding all of these VIP passes right in front of me. I'm just like looking at her, looking back up. I was like, so what do you like? Because I'm so interested in motorsport, and especially in F1. So when I meet people who work for the teams, I'm like, so what made you get into the sport? You know, how did you end up with McLaren? Were there other opportunities for you? That sort of thing. So yeah, I spoke to her for a little bit, and then I was like, oh, we're going for a pit lane walk. It was lovely to meet you. She let us kind of take photos in the McLaren hospitality, which was so lovely of her. Yeah. And then, we ended up going down for the pit lane walk. We kind of walked in. They had the safety car there, and they had the medical car there, which was amazing. So I'm going to get some photos of that. And then you've done the walk before, Georgia. You kind of just get ushered down with everyone. And it was actually really good doing it because we did it at like sunset, so it was more like 6 o'clock, which I've never really done. I've done earlier ones where it's like really, really busy, but the 6 o'clock one, it was actually quite quiet. Like it wasn't as busy as I've had it before. So just walking down, I'm kind of looking at everything, and I'm like, I'm just in heaven. I'm in my happy place. And then we ended up going past McLaren. I'm just in a whole nother world. I'm just like looking at the cars, trying to get a good look. And this whole time, this other McLaren lady was kind of like looking at me, kind of being like, "Do you want to come in?" type thing. I don't even pick up on it. I'm just like,
"Oh, yes,
this is so exciting." And it was actually my partner that's like, Sarah, that lady's trying to get your attention.
Sarah, please.
And so I look over, and she like walks over. She's like, "Hi, how are you?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm really good, thanks." I'm like, "Oh, how are you feeling about like McLaren's chances this weekend?" And at that point, the car was still quite slow compared to the rest of the grid. They hadn't had the upgrades that we've seen recently. So she was just kind of like, "Yeah, like just always hoping, like, and I'm like, "Yes, like go Oscar, like, you've got all of Australia behind him, like, you got to do well when you've got all of your country behind you." And like, like there's a lot of pressure. But the whole weekend looked like he was just nice and calm, which was amazing to see.
He's really calm and cruisy, and I'm like, I need
to like now. He was just staying really nice and calm throughout the whole weekend. Anyway, so she's just like, "Oh, do you want to come in?" I'm just like, yes, please, that would be great. So as like, because it's really difficult, because as they kind of lift it up, I think other people try and like jump in there too, and I can completely understand that. But I come in and then put the thing back down. I'm just looking at these other people, and I'm really sorry. Honestly, like if I could, I'd bring everyone in. Like that's all I want to do, because I love all these things. Anyway, so I kind of walk in, and that's that TikTok where it's got the video, and obviously you can see I'm very in the moment, like jumping around, and I kind of stood like where the pit box is, and I didn't want to get too close to the cars. And she's come up, she's like, you can stand closer to the cars. Like, you can get as close as you want, just don't touch it.
Like, literally don't touch it, or there's a gun right over there and you're done. That's it.
Like, you can
executed in front of everybody here.
She's like, you can get as close as you want, just don't touch the car. Anyway, so I've got back there, and I'm feeling very awkward because my brain is just focused on the fact, like, do not touch this car, do not touch this car. Anyway, so I kind of look behind me, and all the mechanics are just working on the car, and all I can do is go
on the most, how are you going?
Like literally just this little awkward wave. They've all kind of looked at each other and like laughed, being like, "Oh my God," like she is fangirling way too hard right now. My partner's like nearly trying to like die of laughter. And so like we're doing that, and they're like, "Oh, are you mainly just Oscar Piastri fans, or like do you support Lando? Because you can come over and see his car as well." I was like, "Look, I love McLaren. I love like I just love F1, and then I love supporting Aussie drivers." So at the time we had Oscar Piastri, and before that I was even supporting Danny Rick when he was in the car. So I mean, the whole thing that went down with Oscar Piastri taking Danny Rick's seat, like at the time I had beef, like I was not happy about it, but I was like, you know what, like when you look at it, any other driver would have done it, because it's the opportunity to get into the sport, and you're not going to give up that opportunity to get into an F1 car. So I was like, you know what? No, we're going to move past this. It is neither driver's fault. They're doing what's best for themselves.
Exactly.
And then, like, we ended up getting Danny Rick back in F1. So I was like so happy. And it's so interesting when I watched the first race with, and I'm sorry, I'm going to segue into a bunch of different things. Like,
it's okay. We do it all.
We do it so much.
When I watched the first race and we had Oscar and we had Daniel, I was just looking at it and I'm like, I don't know what to do. I've never had two drivers from my country that I'm like, okay, cool. Oscar's doing well. Oh my god. Someone's going into Oscar. What's going on? Oh my god, what's happening with Daniel Ricciardo?
That was literally how I felt there, and I was like, oh my god, I can't like comprehend what is happening, because I'm like, I want Danny to do so well, and I low-key wanted to kick Oscar's ass just for a fun little but then I'm loving what Oscar's doing, and I want him to just keep pushing. And
I know, it's like you're kind of like you're stuck between a rock and a hard place, because you're literally. Like, Australia is so loyal to Daniel Ricciardo, because he's been a part of F1 for so long.
Very cult-like. The love for Daniel.
And also like Drive to Survive would not be as successful as it is without Daniel Ricciardo. He's really provided that. While he's really serious about his racecraft and Formula One, he also provides that very much needed comedic relief for the sport. He provides the lightheartedness to it. He's an easy character to really love, and he's like a marketing gem. Like, and I honestly think that the time that Red Bull have had Danny Rick back in their camp, they have absolutely monopolized that opportunity with Danny Rick. And, you know, like, it's been amazing to see that, like, they're just really promoting him. They're keeping him involved, and then him having the opportunity to race in AlphaTauri was amazing. And then obviously, I think all Aussie fans, when they saw that Oscar had gone into the wall and Danny Rick followed close after, it was quite the adrenaline pain rush.
Australia went quiet for a few seconds.
Yeah, it honestly, like, I'm just looking at the screen and I'm like,
I was like, time to go to sleep.
Literally, I was like, what the fuck?
And then that pain was only heightened when I heard the radio and I heard, my hand. And I'm like, you're what now? Like, sorry?
Start again.
I'm like, we just got you back. You cannot leave again.
It's been a hot minute. Literally a hot minute. Let's...
And I think the other day, Christian Horner said, like, oh, we're probably not going to see him at Singapore.
Yeah, I don't
know. You know, like, I'm like, oh, like, it is really taking a while for him to recover from this. And while it is great for Liam Lawson, it's great to see him get in the car and have an opportunity, because he has been waiting in the wings for quite a bit. So he needs the opportunity to get in that car, you know, see how he goes. And, you know, his performance last weekend was so good, like, for a rookie. Really just getting in there, feeling the car, doing the best. So he's also doing really, really well. So it's going to be interesting to see how things shake up next year, what they're going to do with seats. Because while I think they keep saying that Perez's seat is comfortable and safe, I don't fully believe it. I don't really believe anything that Red Bull tell us.
Lara stands by that.
Yeah.
I do not trust Red Bull. The only thing that you can be sure about is that they're keeping Max. Like, unless Max, like, suddenly turns around, does a full, like, 180, starts being the worst driver on the grid, there is no way Red Bull gets rid of him. As for everyone else, no one is safe.
I think that the only thing that Red Bull would be concerned about is Max getting a bit bored, because at the moment he is winning from a very comfortable margin. And, you know, I always loved the radio that he said, I can't remember which race was it. And he was like 30 seconds ahead or something. Yeah. And he's like, should we do a pit stop just for fun? Should we let the team practice? You know, and I just remember sitting there in that moment. And although, look, I think a lot of people are like, oh, Max Verstappen, he wins all the time. Yeah. I think at the same time, we have to remember we're witnessing such a big moment in history. Like, to just watch him win, it's honestly like just a masterclass in how to consistently race, not have DNFs, like not like make mistakes. Like, I think Sergio was even like, he is driving to the edge consistently and he doesn't muck up.
Like, it is genuinely impressive, like, how he manages to do it. Like, it baffles me. Like, it is so, that's the thing. It's like, like, boring as it is, as people say, like, oh, Max is always winning, like, it sucks. Like you said, it is so interesting to see how he's consistently doing this. Like, because obviously, yes, the car is good, but it's the driver who's
because, you know, relatively, Perez has the exact same car.
Exactly. So,
like,
it's the thing.
Trying, like, seeing them, like, the way that they've sort of had the season pan out, it's been very interesting to watch. And although, yes, every time I loved all the TikToks saying, oh, so excited for the first race back from summer, and then the Dutch national anthem plays, and you're like, oh, yep, we're going back to tradition. Like, this is what you're expecting for the rest of the season.
Exactly.
But, like, as much as it's all joked about, like, I think just watching him race, watching him just win consistently, it's a love-hate relationship. It's like you love it because you're living a piece of history, but you hate it because you're like, oh well, I guess we'll decide who's second and third. Who's going to be on the Verstappen podcast this weekend?
Second and third is so exciting now. Second is my first, and third's my second, and I just live off that. And I'm like, this is nice. And then there's Max, and then Max is just there, and I'm like, hey, you shush. Let someone else.
But yeah, honestly, my getting back to what we were discussing, my experience at the Aussie was honestly amazing. I could not fault it if I tried. We were joking with a gentleman that we met on the Friday. We were sitting up there, and he's like, oh, I've got to go, you know, like sit at Bradham tomorrow and I've got park pass, and he's like, nothing is going to stand up to this, because it's just like, it's such a unique experience where you get to see all the mechanics of the team work together for the driver to succeed while they're on that track. And I honestly, I don't think that there's going to be another Grand Prix that sort of stacks up to the one that I experienced this year, just because it was such like a go experience. So yeah, it was honestly amazing. And when I left for the day, I was like, oh, that was such a beautiful experience. And then on the Saturday and Sunday, sitting at Fangio was it was so great, because obviously this year George's car kind of caught fire and went down the main straight, and we're just like, oh. And then obviously, like, was it 3 red flags we got this year?
Yeah, it was
like Drive to Survive are going to have such a great time editing Australia. Yeah, like they are just going to be like, yep, Australia is going to be a strong focus, like 3 red flags. I will always cherish the memory of like sitting in Fangio and everyone's going, one more lap. Like everyone's just belting it out. Honestly, it was incredible. And like watching it from Fangio, seeing the start, seeing all of the teams get on like the grid to line up to get ready, like, and just have like the tire heat maps on. It was nothing could sort of replace that. It's all the little things. It's all the little things that kind of come together, because I think, at a base level, a lot of people look at Formula One and think that it is just cars going around on a track, which at its basic form, it is.
Yeah.
But it's when you sort of take into consideration all of the extra parts, all of the people that have to work to make that car go around, to make that driver have the confidence in their car that it's not going to break on them. It's not going to, have bad performance. And I just love seeing all the moving parts of Formula One. I think that's my favorite thing.
I think that's what makes it so interesting. And like, I feel like nowadays, obviously because of Drive to Survive and just in general with the amount of content that's created about it, you get such an insight on it all, and then you get really interested into it, and like you see so many different aspects of people like sharing different career paths with it.
Exactly.
The amount of people I follow on Instagram who work in, they're like literally every different kind of aspect of it, and you just I feel like
honestly, I follow one of the guys that works in McLaren. I cannot remember his TikTok handle, but I follow him and I live for his TikTok videos. He will vlog his days working with McLaren, getting on the plane, getting to the track, doing a grid walk, like doing a track walk. Like, it's just honestly, like, I live for that content, because I love seeing the inside parts of F1 that kind of lead up to all of this, all of this for the Sunday. And another person that I absolutely love watching her career flourish is Lizzie on TikTok. So she just started off, making her videos, making tips and bits about F1, and now she goes to quite a few races throughout the year. She works with F1. She's doing little grid walks, like watching her evolution, especially being a female supporter within the sport. I think she has really opened up the doors for content creators. She's shown that there's the possibility to work towards that if that's what you want.
100%.
So she's really opened up the door for a lot of content creators. So it's been amazing to watch her sort of flourish in her career.
Oh, definitely. She's someone I think that a lot of like young girls definitely look up to in the sport now.
Exactly.
That she's so transparent about it too. And is so like, if you can do this, like here, like, like this,
like it is possible, and she does sort of show the way that she gets there as well.
Exactly.
And I think as well, even though her career has obviously taken off and she's being very successful right now, you can still see in her TikToks, in the way that she presents herself, she's still that same like lovable, caring character that we fell in love with when she first started doing her TikToks.
Absolutely.
So I love watching that. Even, like them having Naomi Schiff and the F1 podcast, like not the podcast, the F1 broadcast. I think just involving more females within the sport, it's really shown younger female supporters that it is possible, if that's what you want to do, to get into F1. It's not just sort of, a closed off industry. It is expanding, it is growing. And I think as time has gone on, it has really opened up to be an accessible sport, even though it isn't so accessible. You know?
Yeah, it's still, there's so many like ways in, like
exactly.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, we'll move on to the next question. We've got one more for you. We've kind of sort of touch base on it. My God, now I'm stuttering. Is there any sort of career path you would take in motorsport? Like, would you be interested in working, like, you know, doing content for a team, or, you know, for, you know, AusGP specifically?
Yeah.
For them? Like, is there any sort of career path in that sense that has interested you that you've like maybe working towards?
Yeah, I mean, it would honestly be a dream to be able to work with one of the teams, or even just for the Australian Grand Prix, like work together, you know, do some broadcasting for it, and have a partnership. That would be absolutely incredible. And I think it is definitely something I would like to work towards. But I also realize at the same time, like, it's an industry where you can be very successful, but it does take all of that time, all of that working away at it. So it's something that I'm definitely interested in, but I'm more just doing my TikTok because it's something that gives me happiness. It's my passion. So I'm happy to see wherever it takes me. But I think, if I could long term end up with a team, create content for them, work at the AusGP, that would be incredible as well.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like that would be like such a special experience as well.
Yeah, I mean, being able to go on the Today Show for this year's AusGP, it was honestly incrable. Like that whole sort of experience, I was like, oh, cool. Like I'm kind of getting like my toes in the water. It felt honestly amazing. And I just remember, like, I was standing there and I had a Ferrari top on for the interview. And I actually met one of my followers who, like, she's like, oh, I follow you. I'm from Queensland. Like, so we were talking for a bit, and she's like, oh, do you want to borrow my hat? So you have a Ferrari hat as well. Wow. So yeah, she literally let me borrow her Ferrari hat. And we're friends now. We actually, we talk a lot. Like, it's amazing how I met so many people at the AusGP. And they're like, oh my God, I watch your TikToks. Like, they've been so helpful. You know, I really was able to sort of understand what I wanted, and I knew how to structure my time while I was here. And so she was absolutely amazing. And then like for the Thursday that we were there, they're like, oh, do you want to come stand up the front with us so you can get in and get to the Melbourne Walk? So yeah, honestly, when that happened, it just makes it all worth it, because that's essentially why I made my TikTok account. Exactly. Was because although I had someone to watch the sport with, I had someone to interact about the sport, I just wanted more people. I wanted a community. I wanted really a female community as well. Like, I wanted to see that there were more people out there, whether male or female. I wanted to see that more people were actually interested in the sport. And I think that it has just accelerated with being put on TikTok, put on all the different mainstream channels, and then also Drive to Survive, which was amazing. But getting there on that Thursday, I've never had more adrenaline in my life than running in to get to the Melbourne Walk. That was honestly chaos. Like, it opened up, and my partner, actually, he forgot to wear a belt that day. So the Channel 10 actually filmed us running in, and you can just see him like yanking. Oh my God. And I don't like running. Like, I honestly, I'm not a fit person. So I'm like running, and I saw this, like, all of the people that I met at AusGP were like, oh my God, did you see this? And I'm like, I don't want to see it.
Please do not show me.
Yeah, so like there was literally people walking around. People were like, do you need a belt? Like, are you alright? Like,
that's so funny. I know,
like,
running. That's hilarious. I cannot stand running, and I was the same. I did I reckon a 1 minute sprint, and then was like, fuck this, don't care anymore. I'm just gonna.
So eventually, I kind of just let my partner run. I was like, yep, run, you've got this. I'm cheering you on. Yeah. And I followed behind, and I was able to sort of just kind of we were right at the front, which is amazing. Honestly, like the Melbourne Walk as itself, like just being able to see the drivers is amazing. But then you get up to the front, and they're like right there. And I filmed. I just filmed everyone because I knew if I was trying to get photos, it was just going to be impossible. So I was filming everyone. I had my Ferrari shirt on, and Carlos came past, and I'm like, Carlos, and I'm just pointing at my shirt. And I'm thinking this whole time, like, Carlos, can you sign my shirt? Like, nothing came out. I'm just going like this, like tapping my shirt.
Everybody just...
And then eventually I'm like, oh, sorry, can you sign my shirt, please? And yeah, so he signed my shirt. And the whole time I was just like this, like I couldn't fully see it. And he's like walked off and I'm just like,
I'm literally just
looking down at the shirt, like,
the...
oh my God, like that actually just happened, which is, yeah, honestly, Melbourne Walk is such a unique experience for GP because I really don't think they have anything like it at another race.
No, I feel like it's very just Melbourne that does that. I mean, I attempted to get there on the Thursday and then I ended up just kind of standing on like the stands that were behind.
Yeah.
But even that itself was incredible because I was still seeing the drivers coming in and I was like, oh my God, like these are real people. Like I can see them.
They
like,
actually exist.
They're right.
I think that's what's so important is that, you know, GP, they really do work to make the drivers as accessible as possible.
Yeah.
Because obviously, like, everyone would love to meet these guys. It is a dream of so many F1 fans, but there's got to be a degree of safety with the event as well. So just having the opportunity to stand there and just watch them exist.
I know.
It's just like, please, I will just watch you exist. Like, please just just keep doing what you're doing. Like, it's so great to meet you. And
even the fan forums, like I got
it's amazing.
Forums early on both days, and I was quite close to the front. And even like just that, like that in itself, and like seeing like I've got videos, and I'm like zooming, I'm like waving, and like you make the eye contact, you're like, oh my God, like that's the thing. Like it's even things like that, and you know, making that effort to talk to the whole crowd, like not just people at the front, and like participating with everyone. Like I feel like the GP is so good for that and meeting.
Yeah, they really do make it more like a fan event. It is really like a fan event where everyone can come together. All of the activities they have, like the pit stop challenge, like I loved doing that challenge. Like it was incredible. And just all of the different things they have around the track to keep everyone entertained, all the different food offerings that they have. It's honestly amazing to see, but nothing will beat the first time I sat down and I heard an F1 car go past me. That lives rent free in my mind. Just feeling the power and the force that those cars have is incredible, honestly. So yeah, honestly, this event has everything, something for everyone.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's what's so incredible about it too, is there's literally something for everyone. Like there's always something going on. And then like obviously they've got the shows at the end of the days too as well.
Yeah.
There's always something happening. It's
like, and that's why, you know, with my TikTok, I just love making content that makes that experience easier. Because one thing I found is we always sort of stay in South Bank area. We sort of stay near, like, the drivers tend to normally, some of them, I know that McLaren tends to stay at the Hilton because they're partnered with them.
Yeah.
But a lot of the drivers do kind of stay in Crown Towers. That's kind of where they all kind of situate themselves.
Yeah.
So we sort of stay in and around that area as well. And I actually found instead of catching the tram back and having those wait times of like, on a Sunday afternoon, it's like an hour to 2 hours just to wait for the tram. We actually discovered that you can pretty much walk a straight line back to the city. Takes about maybe 30 minutes walking. So if you can walk, like, it's a good walk. And as we were walking back, all of the different pubs that go up that street, they've got like F1 stuff out. Yeah. And they're like, stop for a pub crawl, like pub crawl your way back.
That's exactly.
So like, honestly, like, all the different ways of transport to get there. So in the end, like my partner and I, like, we'll just walk.
Yeah.
So walking so much, like, and then it also frees up the trams. It frees up the trams for people that really do need that accessibility so they can get there and they have the reliability. So yeah, we were loving it. Like we just walk and then on the way back, you know, a bit parked, I'll stop for a drink and, you know, keep going. And honestly. And the city comes alive for this event. So it is amazing to see.
It's insane to see like how chaotic it is. Like I Ubered it each morning when it was like a good $15 from where I was staying. And I was like, fuck yes. And then at the end of the day, it was like $100 to get back. And I was like, never mind.
No, I did the Uber a couple of times as well. Because I remember the first year that I went, I'm not a local to Melbourne. So I was just like, I normally go to the city and I'll, you know, spend some time there. But like going to Albert Park, not really like something I know. So we were Ubering. And then, one day we're like, oh, we'll just walk. And we figured that out. And now it's it's a little secret hack, but I guess not so much anymore, that we do. So, yeah, it's amazing just honestly exploring. I love exploring different places. So
yeah, and Melbourne's so good for that too. It's such a nice city to like,
yeah,
wrap your head around, because I'm like that. I don't know anything in Melbourne. Like, I'll message Lara saying like, I'm here. Like, why are you there? Why? What are you doing
going
there?
the other way. Yeah.
Oh.
And I guess as well, like the circuit is so big
Oh,
that
Yeah.
there are so many different gates, and knowing what gate to sort of go into so you know where you're sitting, like, because yeah, like there are so many different gates and you can pop in and pop out in so many different places.
Literally,
and you're kind of looking around and I'm like, yeah, like, because I usually enter through gate 1 or gate 2, because I've normally, all the times that I've gone, I've been on that side. And I'll end up on the other side of the triangle on the other side of the lake, and I'm just like, I don't even know where I am at this point. Like,
how
this is like
happened?
like it is, it's just massive. And the fact, like, you can just kind of go anywhere around the track and you can always sort of find some sort of food, you can find some sort of drink, there's some sort of activity going on. Like, for them to have such a great event that functions and works so efficiently and effortlessly, it's amazing. It's hats off to them.
Extremely impressive, yeah.
So we do have one more question for you, actually.
Yeah, go
we do this thing called Hot Lap question, which basically will ask you a question and you just give us the first answer that pops into your head. And then you can justify it afterwards if you'd like. You don't have to. So our question
I will. I get anxiety.
Our question is, if you could go to any other race, what would it be?
Oh, this one's so hard. I feel like one race that I would love to go to, and I think is very accessible for Aussie F1 fans, is Singapore.
Yeah, definitely.
It's going to be hot. It's going to be another experience.
Yeah.
But I think seeing a night race for F1 is something that is going to be so different. So that's what I always try and find with F1 is like, how can I have a unique, different experience?
Definitely.
So for me, I'm like, if I go to Singapore, it's kind of easier for us to get to from this side of the world. And on top of that, like, it's just, I love street races. I think that they really challenge the drivers in a way that, F1 made tracks don't, because the fine line between safe and accident, it just diminishes so much. And it really showcases the drivers that have that technical skill and know that I'm going to get so close to this barrier that I pretty much kiss it. But I'm still going to be able to keep going. Definitely. I love watching that. And I think as well, the fact that with Singapore, which I know you can get with a few other different races as well, the fact that you can get a hotel and you can literally look outside and there they are racing, I think that's just an incredible experience, and definitely something I want to experience in the future.
Absolutely.
So I probably think that's the next one on my list that I think is quite accessible. I'd probably still be able to do on a budget, because obviously F1 can run you back a bit of money. But yeah, I think that's definitely something that's on the bucket list.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's the good thing about Singapore as well. Like you said, it's so close. Like, it's not far to get to. It's not that expensive. It's like, and it's a night race. It's so different to what we will ever see here in Oz. Like, it's a completely different experience. And I feel like a lot of Aussie fans are always there. Like, I feel like...
a lot of
because it's just the most easily accessible.
Yeah, I think that, and probably Japan is probably the most accessible races for us. But yeah, like, my dream, if I had all the money in the world, would obviously just be to go over to Europe and just follow them. Just follow them, go through all of the different races. Like, I think that would be amazing. So I think, look, maybe one day, every F1 circuit offers such a different experience. It has such different complexities, and like, no matter where you sit, I think you're always going to get a good experience.
Yeah, without a doubt. It's always going to be different and unique, and I think that's what makes it so special as well.
Absolutely.
I suck at this part.
Oh, I'm really happy I made 2 more friends, which is amazing. I love just meeting people.
Thank you
honestly,
so much.
are you both? Thank you. Are you both going to next year's OzGP?
Yes.
Okay, well, we'll have to catch up while we're there. It'll be like finding Wally, but we'll get there.
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out.
In the McLaren shirt, and you're like, Okay.
Yeah, cool. And honestly, I will
Which
give you a
McLaren
response
shirt?
like
The
that.
100?
They'll be like, Sarah, where are you? I'm like, I'm in a McLaren shirt. And then I'll look around and be like, okay, I realize that's not a lot to go off.
You just go, okay, cool, yeah, I'll look for 1 sec. I'm looking for a McLaren shirt.
Yeah.
The joys.
Turn around, you see 100.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, never mind. I need a hand in the air for Sarah, please.
Yeah.
Anyone
Honestly,
thinks-
if you did that, I'd just be standing there like, I'm here. I have my hand up.
Like, you don't communicate half the time, but you literally just like, over here.
Like, I saw a few people this year and I was just like, oh, I know that person. And then you'd run up to them and I'd tap them on the shoulder and they turn around and it wasn't the person I was thinking. I was
like, I did not know this person.
sorry.
Good day.
I'm like, this is a little awkward. I hope you're having a good experience. Sorry I disturbed you.
Enjoy the rest of your day. Adios.
No, but yeah, thank you so much. It was amazing to come on the podcast. It was amazing to meet you both and just talk about F1 in general.
No, we loved having you on.
We loved having you on. Thank you. And thank you everyone for watching. Don't forget to check us out on our socials and Sarah's. They will all be linked in the description box below. Thank you for watching, and we will see you guys when we eventually produce another video.
One day.
One of these days. Didn't take me